I was thinking, Dr. Shamama, maybe we will begin with you as it would be nice if you address the audience and then we can flow into a conversation wherever you're comfortable.
Hello everyone. I wrote something up because I'm here today. The only reason I'm here today is I love football. I'm passionate about football. I'm actually crazy about it. So if the World Cup comes in, my husband and all go to sleep. I'm there watching it till 4 a.m. I've started, my first World Cup I watched was 1982 when Italy won. I was a very young child that time. And then I've watched each and every World Cup. I don't miss it. You know, I can tell you from which year to which country won from 86, even 74. I go and watch all the World Cups before, try to see how does this left back play, you know, how did the midfielder, which is my favorite midfielder, you know, I love it. Who's my favorite defender? I mean, for me, my all-time favorite defender is Cannavaro and nobody else can take his place. So I've just written something up which is about gender equality, and I'm going to just speak on that, and which is right now with me here. So सॉरी जो हिंदी में मैंने सारा जी से पूछा नहीं हिंदी में बनाओ या इंग्लिश में लिखो, तो मैंने इंग्लिश में लिखा है. आप लोगों को कुछ समस्या है और आप लोग को नहीं समझ पा रहे हो तो मुझे पूछ लीजिए, इसके बाद मैं वो आपको बता दूंगी. Football is by far the most popular sport in the world. With over 4 billion fans across the world, football has a reach greater than any other sport. But football is more than just an entertaining sport. It is a powerful tool which can bring about profound social change, especially when it comes to women. Unlike many other sports, like for example golf, I heard somebody else mention hockey, tennis, football doesn't require expensive equipment. All you need to play football is a ball and yourself. No matter whether you're rich, poor, you can enjoy this sport. Several underdeveloped countries in the world have produced some of the biggest footballing stars in the world. As you know, Pele, Maradona, Lionel Messi, all of them come from very poor background and they've become superstars in football. Even the present Ronaldo and the old Ronaldo. All you need to succeed at football is the drive, talent, and desire to excel. In a lot of ways, football is a social unifier which eliminates the invisible barriers between rich and poor, because anybody can play football. You know, whether you're rich, you're poor, anybody can be there, because football, like I mentioned, does not need many equipments. Poor boys and girls are the privileged and underprivileged. In a country like India, where the top and bottom rungs of society barely interact with one another, the sport of football can act as the level playing field that society needs acutely right now. Despite several developments, India is a socially conservative country in essence. Women are expected to take on gender-defined roles. Parents from poor backgrounds are sometimes reluctant to invest a lot of money into the all-round development of a girl child. Even parents who want their daughters to try out their preferred vocation do not necessarily have the money to support these activities. This is where football can play a very, very important role. All parents need to allow their girl child to play football is to provide them is just a ball. All that's what they need. The unique nature of football is that it can be played everywhere. From the favelas of Brazil to the world's most expensive sports stadiums, football can literally be played anywhere. This can be a very powerful tool to empower girls to take up sports at a very young age, with minimum investment from their parents. By eliminating the entry barrier, football provides a level playing field for girls to succeed first at the sport and throughout their life. It provides young girls with the confidence to assert themselves and recognize and nurture talent within them. Even if they choose not to follow football as a career, the self-esteem they will build playing this great sport will serve them for their entire lifetime. Sports like, as I mentioned before, cricket, tennis, maybe even hockey, produce stars, but it's rare for young girls to succeed in these sports, even initially without a coach. Football is one of the few self-taught sports in the world where people from every background have initially honed their skills simply by playing the sport by themselves or with friends. Of course, coaches are essential in football. I'm not denying that. Once you reach a professional level, but at least as novices, anyone can have talent, and those who have that can shine with the right amount of effort and practice. Football is the most global sport in the world. And let me tell you, it's not cricket. Hardly any country plays cricket, you know. Scouts travel the world on the lookout for new talent, and as compared to other sports where it's a Herculean task to be spotted and picked up for professional training, the odds of young girls getting noticed for their footballing skills are relatively high, especially in a country like India with no dearth of talented young girls, and I can see so many out here itself. Women in India face tremendous hurdles on their way to success, which is why they need all the tools they can to break this invisible barrier posed at every step by society and circumstances. Football is just the tool young girls need to not just have a great time and enjoy themselves, but smash patriarchy, overcome social and financial barriers, and gain the confidence they need to take on life by their horns. Thank you very much.
May I ask you, did you play football as well, or you only have ever?
No, I played football, not in school a little bit because I was brought up abroad, not here. And there I'm majorly into sport. I used to be a short distance runner, 100 and 200, and a shot putter. And I shouldn't be saying this, but I only wanted the gold and I always got the gold. Never the bronze or the silver. So what I used to do was practice. See, that's the most important thing. Practice 3 to 4 months before, and I didn't have a coach. I would take my mother, go to a park nearby, have my timer, and keep timing my 100 and 200. You know, there was a track there. So that was it. And football I used to play when I moved to Delhi, very early or not recently, in 2000. And I think it's the Talkatora Stadium. With me, the only woman, and all of the rest were men. So we used to have 2 teams and I used to play with them. So I do play football, I love football, and I think it is a sport which brings the world together, you know, unlike a cricket or tennis. And the other thing is it's a team game. So it unifies people, and my dream is to see India there, you know, to get qualified, not even anything else. But I'm sure that's not impossible because we have a lovely, the IFF, what it's doing right now is spectacular. So I'm sure it's not going to be too far.
Mr. Das, maybe you can shed some light on the AIFF, what plans they have for women's football in India, and especially with the Under 17 Women's World Cup coming up. If you have any inside gossip, something that will not leave this room, it would be nice to know.
Thank you, Shara. Thank you, everyone. I would like to begin by saying that women's football is a world sport now. It is an established world sport. I don't know how many of you watched the 2019 Women's World Cup in France. It was one of the highest watched events, sporting events in the world. Prior to that, I had the good fortune to be in 2015, I think it was in Germany, जहाँ पे basically again USA जीता था, and the enthusiasm, spectators जितने थे, it was fantastic. So there is no denying that worldwide women's football is an established sport. So there's nothing about gender equality now. It is one of the biggest sports in the world. Coming back to India, I think we have to follow and as Shama rightly said, football is the most popular sport in the world. India has been lagging behind for various reasons. We'll not get into details of that. Money being one of the major reasons. Unfortunately, football में जो पैसा आना था, the commercial value of football has not really increased. to give you a perspective, अभी जो IPL का जो bidding होने वाला है for the television rights is expected to be 50,000 crores over 4 years. So how do you compete with this kind of money? And we need money to actually develop in a big state, in a big country like India, with so many states, the continent. So coming back to football in India, I think our focus for the last 3-4 years at least has been on women's football. That is the reason we bid for the Asian Women's Cup, which was held in February in Maharashtra. Very sadly and unfortunately, the Indian team had a problem with COVID. Again, not getting into the reasons for that, but let me share something within this closed room. India was not the only team. There were other teams also who were almost in the same situation. They just managed to escape by a whisker. So it is not that it was India alone, but I think India missed out on a great opportunity. We had Japan, who won the World Cup, I think, in 2011. We had Australia, currently I think they're ranked 8 or 10, but sometime they're ranked 4. So we had some very, very good teams. And I believe, after I think Shama was there for the match, I couldn't come. But after the first match against Iran, we were very, very hopeful that India will really progress. But jo bhi hai, unfortunately. So that is the reason we bid for this. We had bid for the Under-17 Women's World Cup, जो कि 2020 में होना था. But unfortunately, again because of COVID, now it is shifted to 2022. There was every possibility कि वो cancel कर दिया और इंडिया से कहीं और ले जाए. Because India was actually in a problem in terms of COVID. India had one of the highest incidences, but now things are much better. And as I say, FIFA is doing the inspection of the venue. पहले हमने 5 venue के लिए सोचा था, but I think they will restrict it to 3 venues. Again, keeping in mind that it can be another outbreak of COVID. So I think that makes sense. So I think October May the World Cup will start.
Do we know what the venues are going to be?
No, they will do the inspection. They're in the process of doing the inspection, and they will announce it maybe in the first week of April. But they want to restrict it to 3 venues. That is for sure. As regards the preparation for the World Cup, again, because there were under-17 girls and the vaccination just started recently, all the plans of exposure trips, playing with other countries, going for tournaments had to be shelved. However, now starting from April, this team is now currently playing the SAF Championship. It's just a practice thing. They're of course doing very well there. Beating teams like Nepal 7-0 and 5-1. Not that I'm saying that it's a great thing, but Nepal is not a bad women's team, by the way. Nepal and Bangladesh, along with India, are probably the best 3 women's team in this area, in the subcontinent, in the South region as they call it. So after that, starting from April, the plan till September is to play 22 international matches. And now all the girls are vaccinated properly, so should not be a problem. So hopefully we'll have a good preparation before the World Cup begins. Similarly, we are also not neglecting the senior women's team. They have, in the next 1 year, 37 international matches. Because they will be competing in various events, the Asian Games, there's a SAF tournament. We are also now part of CAFA. CAFA is Central Asian Football Association, where the women's team will be playing with teams like Uzbekistan, etc., which are very, very good teams. So we have a big plan for women's football. The IWL, which is the women's league, which started in a very small way, now has 12 teams and will go on for nearly 2 months. It was earlier, for 15-20 days. So we're trying to really enhance the whole structure of women's football, and it's a priority for us. And hopefully, the women's team has tremendous potential. I don't know how many of you watched that goal by Manisha against Brazil. It was an outstanding goal, and we have players like that now coming up. So very, very optimistic and hopeful that women's football will become a niche sport in India. Thank you.
Lauren, do you want to come up on the stage? Are there any questions from the audience? There's one at the back. Mala. There's a question here also, if you can have a mic towards the front. आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है।
मेरा नाम माला है और मैं ये पूछना चाहती हूँ, जैसे आज हमने जो भी डिस्कशन किया वो सारा जेंडर इक्वालिटी पे था थ्रू फुटबॉल। तो अगर हम स्पोर्ट्स को ही लेते हैं तो अब बात करें मेंस और वुमेन्स टीम की, तो क्या वहाँ पे जेंडर इक्वालिटी है? अभी तक लास्ट 7 और 8 ईयर से मैं इस फील्ड में हूँ और मेरे कलीग्स भी हैं, तो हमने जहाँ तक ये चीज़ें फेस की है तो कई जगह पे वुमेन्स को बहुत ही कम आंका जाता है और मेंस को ज़्यादा माना जाता है कि हाँ मेंस ज़्यादा बेटर हैं, चाहे वो फुटबॉल फील्ड में हो चाहे वो किसी फील्ड में हो। तो इस चीज़ को इक्वल करने के लिए हमें मतलब कैसे काम करना
चाहिए? वो तो वही मैंने कहा अभी जब मैंने ये पढ़ा था आप लोगों को कि बदलाव आना है और बदलाव आ रहा है मेरे हिसाब से। देखो आज आप यहाँ बैठा हुआ है ना, वो ही एक बदलाव है। आप हमसे पूछ रहे हैं सवाल और हम ये ओपन किया है ये जो सवाल जवाब सब कुछ। तो जैसे मैंने एक और स्पीच सुना है मैं आने से पहले यहाँ कि जैसे राजस्थान के जो गांव में बदलाव आ रहा है वहाँ, तो जैसे लड़कियां अभी खेल रहे हैं और 1-2 लड़कियां मैंने सुना है कि कन्नूर गए थे और कन्नूर से जो मैं आती हूँ वहां से वो मेरा होम टाउन है, तो मैं बहुत खुश थी कि राजस्थान से लड़कियां कन्नूर पहुंच गए हैं। तो वो भी एक बदलाव है। आप सही कहा है, हिंदुस्तान में पुरुष लोग जो भी हमारे जो पॉलिटिक्स राजनीति में आगे, एक्सक्यूज मी आप थोड़ा हटिए वहां से। हाँ, तो राजनीति में भी आप देखोगे तो पेट्रियार्की है, उसमें पुरुष लोग आगे हैं, लेकिन हम लोग सबको लड़ना पड़ेगा इसके लिए। तो लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं और आप भी करो। और यहाँ जो बैठ रही सारा जी है जो इसका प्रेसिडेंट भी है, वो अध्यक्ष है, वो सुन रही है, कुशल दास जी भी है, तो वो बदलाव तो मेरे हिसाब से जरूर आएंगे।
मैं एक चीज ऐड करना चाहता हूँ। अभी नेक्स्ट 1 ईयर में जो वुमेन्स टीम इंटरनेशनल मैचेस खेलेगी वो है 37। मेंस टीम प्रोबेबली विल प्ले 15 या 20।
वाह, वही है। देखो
चाहिए? एक चीज और मैं इसमें पूछना चाहूंगी कि आपने बोला मैचेस खेले हैं, बट जो मेंस का पे स्केल है और वुमेन्स का पे स्केल है तो बहुत बड़ा गैप है। तो कहीं ना कहीं हमारे जो पेरेंट्स जब वो कन्विंस होते हैं उस चीज़ के लिए हमें आगे भेजने के लिए, तो वो भी एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि हम इतने टाइम से उस चीज़ में लगे तो कहीं ना कहीं हमें भी बेनिफिट हो।
डेफिनेटली ये वर्ल्ड वाइड ही है। ऑल्दो वर्ल्ड वाइड वुमेन्स फुटबॉल बहुत आगे जा रही है, बट पे स्केल में डिस्पैरिटी तो है ही। वो टेनिस में भी है, क्रिकेट में भी है, फुटबॉल में भी है।
आई होप अब बहुत जल्दी हम अमेरिका का मॉडल फॉलो करें एंड आई मीन दिस इज समथिंग कि हम एक्सेप्ट नहीं करना चाहते हैं कि अच्छा है तो अब क्या कर सकते हैं। आई मीन द पॉइंट इज दैट डेफिनेटली दिस शुड नॉट बी देयर।
वो सही कहा, वो नहीं होना चाहिए, लेकिन सभी जगह होता है। एक तो वो बोलते हैं कि जो मेंस का जो फुटबॉल है और भी लोग वॉच करते हैं, देखते हैं, तो उनका जो राइट्स जब बेचते हैं, जो टेलीविजन राइट्स में बहुत सारे पैसे आ जाते हैं, वो वजह देते हैं। तो इसकी वजह से आज जैसे कुशलदास जी ने कहा कि अभी जो फुटबॉल है ना, विमेंस फुटबॉल बहुत लोग देख रहे हैं, तो उसमें भी राइट्स ज्यादा होंगे और जो कमर्शियल राइट्स या टीवी राइट्स जो भी है वो उसमें भी ज्यादा हो जाएंगे। तो जैसे सारा जी ने कहा कि बदलाव हो रहा है कि आप लोगों का जो पे स्केल है उसमें सब में बातचीत हो रही है, देखेंगे वही है ना।
I think there's one question. Pallavi, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Pallavi. I'm from Australian High Commission. Great to have you here and thanks to SIG for organizing this. Sir, my question is to you. It's really good to know from you that there are so many steps being taken for women's football, especially under 17 and I think under 13 as well, at the grassroots level as well as we have heard across. One of the issues is that we do want exposure for the girls, and it's of course a very practical thing that it's not possible to take the girls for international trips or tours outside all the time. But an international exposure is always good in across sports, I think. So I remember in 2019, the Football Federation of Australia had come to India and had met with the under 17 girls team in Goa. I think they were in a training camp. So, sir, does AIFF think about such plans that, like, you know, if you cannot take the entire team outside, whether it's US or Australia or Brazil, you can call some of the coaches or the captains of those teams, of the national teams of other countries, to India to spend like a week. It could be like a formal program. They could meet with the girls, they could train them, have some coaching camps, and then it could be like a very good motivation sort of for the girls as well as a program. It could be developed quite well. So are you considering something like that? Are you approaching embassies for that? I just wanted to know from you.
Let me just tell you that since you mentioned Australia, we have a MOU with Australia for development in all aspects, whether be it coaching, be it youth, be it women's football. Again, COVID actually, had yet to shelve a lot of our plans. These girls, these under 17 girls, have had tremendous international exposure. They went to Brazil to play. I don't think ever under 17 girls team has gone to Brazil and played with Brazil. They played with Peru. All these 22 matches which they're going to play now, starting from April, are all outside the country. So they'll have a tremendous international exposure.
And Pallavi, wearing my AIFF hat, if there's anything, any ideas that you have or from the Australian High Commission that you feel that the AIFF could do together with the Australian High Commission beyond the MOU, which I remember I was aware of because remember they used to come and be a part of our national women's the alliance meetings and things. So then I would be happy to help take that conversation forward. Yes.
Can I just ask one quick question?
Okay.
Just wanted to know if you're going to be able to watch it on television, the under 17.
Yes, of course. The television rights, as far as I know, is with Sony. It's a FIFA event. So all the FIFA television rights for FIFA events is currently with Sony. It may change because the World Cup now is with Viacom, which is the new company. But as far as I know, this will be shown on Sony.